Sarah Chen had always believed that the most interesting things in life happened when you least expected them. After 15 years of working at Outpost 23, one of Earth's more obscure spaceports, she'd seen her fair share of unusual situations. But nothing had prepared her for what crashed onto Landing Pad C on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. The ship, if you could call it that, looked more like a massive crystalline snowflake that had been caught in a hurricane. Its translucent surface pulsed with an inner light that shifted between deep purple and electric blue, while fractures spread across its hull like spider webs in frost. Sarah watched through the control room window as emergency foam covered the smoking vessel, her mind already racing through possible repair scenarios. "Control, this is Chen. I'm going out there," she announced, already reaching for her toolkit. The worn red box had been her grandmother's, passed down along with lessons about fixing everything from ancient combustion engines to modern fusion drives. "Negative, Chen." Controller Martinez's voice crackled through her earpiece. "We don't have clearance for non-standard vessel repairs. Wait for the corporate response team." Sarah was already halfway to the airlock. "That ship's got a quantum cascade building up. In about 20 minutes, it'll either implode or explode. Corporate can bill me later." The desert heat hit her like a wall as she stepped onto the landing pad. Up close, the crystalline ship was even stranger. Its surface seemed to ripple like water whenever she looked at it directly, and her hand scanner threw up errors she'd never seen before. A section of the hull shifted, and something emerged, definitely not human. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall, with iridescent scales and 4 arms. But what caught Sarah's attention was their expression. Fear looked the same on any face, apparently. They were clutching what appeared to be a navigation unit, its crystal components cracked and leaking light. "Please," the alien's translator crackled. "The quantum matrix is destabilizing. I cannot. I don't know how to." They gestured helplessly at the failing ship. Sarah's diagnostic visor was already scanning the vessel's hull. "I'm Sarah Chen. I'm going to help you, but first I need you to tell me exactly what happened." She pulled out her oldest mechanical scanner, the kind that didn't get confused by quantum interference. The alien's scales shifted color slightly. "I am Zaxel. My colony, corporate raiders destroyed everything. This ship was in storage, ancient tech. I barely escaped." They paused, mandibles clicking. The navigation crystal cracked during emergency quantum translation. "The matrix is cascading." Sarah nodded, her scanner confirming what she'd suspected. The ship's quantum matrix was indeed cascading, but not in any way she'd seen before. The crystalline technology was incredibly advanced and completely alien to Earth's mechanical systems. "Okay, Zaxel, here's the deal," Sarah said, pulling tools from her kit. "I can't fix this with standard protocols, but I think I know a way to stabilize the matrix using Earth tech. It won't be pretty, and it's definitely not in any manual, but it should work. Do you trust me?" Zaxel's 4 hands twisted together in what might have been nervousness. "Your species, you're not certified for crystalline tech. It's beyond." Yeah, we're primitives who just figured out fusion drives." Sarah grinned, already setting up a makeshift quantum stabilizer using parts from 3 different repair kits. "But sometimes the simplest solutions work best. Watch this." She pulled out what looked like an ordinary crystal from her kit, a piezoelectric oscillator she'd modified years ago for fun. "Your ship's quantum matrix is crystalline-based, right? Well, Earth crystals may be simple, but they still follow the same basic laws of physics." Using a combination of Earth tools and improvised adapters, Sarah began the delicate process of synchronizing her modified crystal with the ship's failing matrix. It was like trying to repair a quantum computer with a pocket calculator, but Sarah had always excelled at making the impossible work. "This is unorthodox," Zaxel observed, watching as Sarah essentially hotwired their ancient ship with technology thousands of years less advanced. "Unorthodox is my specialty," Sarah replied, making final adjustments. Now this might tingle a bit. She activated the stabilizer. The ship's pulsing glow steadied, the fractures in its hull slowly sealing themselves as the quantum cascade reversed. Sarah's jerry-rigged system was actually working, harmonizing Earth crystal frequencies with alien quantum matrices in ways that probably violated several laws of physics. Impossible, Zaxel whispered, all four hands raised in astonishment. You've stabilized it with stuff I mostly found in my toolbox. Sarah finished, running final checks. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. Your ship should hold together now, though I'd recommend a proper repair at your earliest convenience. The sound of approaching vehicles made Sarah wince. And that would be corporate security, right on schedule to tell me everything I just did was against protocol. Zaxel's scales shifted to a deep blue. You risked much to help me. Your superiors will not approve. Sarah shrugged, packing up her tools. Probably not. But letting someone die because of bureaucracy isn't really my style. As security vehicles surrounded the landing pad, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the most interesting things in life happened when you broke all the rules, and she had a feeling this was just the beginning. The corporate security team arrived in their pristine white uniforms, looking comically out of place against the backdrop of Sarah's improvised repair operation. Leading them was Director Williams, whose perpetually pinched expression suggested he'd just bitten into something sour. Mechanic Chen, Williams said, each syllable precise and cold. Would you care to explain why you're conducting unauthorized repairs on an unregistered alien vessel using non-standard equipment? Sarah gestured to her diagnostic display, where the quantum stability readings now showed a healthy green. I'm preventing a quantum cascade that would have taken out half the spaceport. You're welcome, by the way. Williams consulted his tablet. According to regulations, all non-standard vessels must be quarantined pending evaluation by a certified Xenotech team. Instead, you decided to. What exactly? He peered at Sarah's makeshift stabilizer. Is that a modified Earth crystal interfacing with quantum technology? It works, doesn't it? Sarah crossed her arms. Look, Director, I know the regulations. I also know that waiting for a Xenotech team would have left us with a smoking crater instead of a spaceport. Sometimes you have to improvise. Zaxel stepped forward, their scales now shifting between concerned purple and diplomatic gold. Your engineers saved not only my life, but prevented catastrophic damage to your facility. Among my people, such quick thinking and skill would be highly honored. Your people, Williams said stiffly, have technological capabilities far beyond our certification level. Any interaction with your systems could have caused unprecedented damage. Chen, do you even understand what you were working with? Sarah walked over to the ship's hull, pointing to the now stable crystal matrix. The quantum resonance pattern here matches standard crystalline formations found on Earth. The only difference is the complexity and energy level. By using a simple piezoelectric oscillator tuned to the right frequency, I could stabilize the cascade using basic harmonic principles. It's not that complicated if you stop thinking about tech levels and start thinking about universal physics. One of the junior security officers was taking notes, looking fascinated until Williams glared at him. This is exactly the kind of reckless behavior that causes incidents, Williams continued. You can't just apply primitive solutions to advanced technology and hope for the best. Actually, Zaxel interjected, their translator struggling to convey their excitement. This is fascinating. Our records show that crystalline technology was abandoned by most species precisely because it required complex maintenance systems. The idea of using simple harmonic resonance as a stabilizing factor. It's elegant. Primitive, yes, but elegant. Sarah grinned. Sometimes the old ways work best. Like my grandmother used to say, the fancier the machine, the more ways it can break down. Williams was turning an interesting shade of red. This is beside the point. Chen, you violated at least 15 safety protocols. The liability alone. The liability of letting a quantum cascade destroy your spaceport would have been worse. Sarah interrupted. Look, I get it. Rules exist for a reason. But rules that prevent us from helping people in emergency situations, those need to be reconsidered. She turned to Zaxel. Your ship's stable now, but that crystal matrix needs a proper overhaul. I can rig up a more permanent solution using similar principles. But, she glanced at Williams. I'm guessing that's not going to be allowed. Absolutely not. Williams snapped. In fact, Mechanic Chen, consider yourself suspended pending a full investigation. Security will escort you to. Wait, Zaxel's scales had shifted to a deep, authoritative blue. Your regulations cannot prevent me from requesting specific assistance. I formally request Engineer Chen's help in repairing my vessel. My people's treaties with Earth allow for emergency technical assistance. Williams sputtered. That's not. You can't. Actually, they can. The junior security officer spoke up, then quailed under Williams' glare. Article 7 of the Interstellar Emergency Services Agreement specifically allows stranded vessels to request assistance from any qualified technician, regardless of standard protocols. Sarah tried not to look too smug. Well then, Director Williams, it seems we have a diplomatic situation. Would you like to be the one to explain to the Galactic Council why Earth refused emergency assistance to a refugee? The next hour was a flurry of paperwork, temporary authorizations, and very carefully worded incident reports. Sarah found herself officially assigned to repair Zaxel's ship, though with enough warning labels and liability waivers to wallpaper the spaceport. As the security team finally withdrew, Zaxel turned to Sarah. Your species is peculiar. You possess the intelligence to solve complex problems, yet bind yourselves with restrictive protocols. Then find creative ways to circumvent those same protocols. Sarah laughed, already laying out her tools for the more extensive repairs. That's humanity for you. We love making rules almost as much as we love finding ways around them. Now let me show you how we can use basic Earth crystals to create a stable quantum matrix. It's not how your people would do it, but sometimes the best solutions come from thinking differently. As they worked together, Sarah couldn't help but notice how Williams kept watching from his office window, his expression growing darker with each unconventional repair technique she employed. She had a feeling this wasn't over, but for now, she had a job to do, and she was going to do it her way. The termination notice arrived exactly 3 days after Sarah completed repairs on Zaxel's ship. She sat in Williams' office, staring at the holographic document floating above his desk, its corporate letterhead glowing with sterile authority. Reckless disregard for safety protocols. Sarah read aloud. Unauthorized modification of advanced technology. Potential diplomatic incident. She looked up at Williams, who couldn't quite meet her eyes. Funny how there's no mention of preventing a catastrophic explosion or saving someone's life. The company's position is clear, Williams said, his voice carefully neutral. Your actions, while effective, demonstrated a pattern of behavior incompatible with our safety standards. The board feels nervous because I proved their precious protocols aren't always necessary. Sarah interrupted. They're afraid because I showed that humans can understand and work with advanced technology using basic principles. Williams shifted uncomfortably. Your methods were unorthodox and dangerous, using modified Earth crystals to stabilize quantum matrices, creating hybrid interfaces between our technology and alien systems. The potential risks were far less than letting that ship explode. Sarah finished. She gestured to the screen showing Outpost 23's repair logs. Check the diagnostics. Every modification I made not only worked but improved the system's efficiency. Zaxel's ship is running better than when it was built. That's part of the problem, Williams admitted. You've effectively demonstrated capabilities that we're not supposed to have. It makes our corporate partners uncomfortable. Sarah laughed without humor. Heaven forbid we show initiative. You know what Zaxel told me while we were doing repairs. Their people abandoned crystalline technology because it became too complex, too dependent on specialized systems. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one, but nobody wants to admit that. She stood up, reaching for the toolbox that had been in her family for generations. Keep the uniform, keep the credentials. But this, she patted the red metal box. This stays with me. It's got more wisdom in it than all your safety manuals combined. Chen, Williams called as she reached the door. For what it's worth, you did good work. Too good. That's the real problem. Sarah paused. You know what's funny? Humans spent centuries dreaming about reaching the stars, meeting alien civilizations, proving we could stand among them as equals. Now we're so scared of breaking protocol that we'd rather let someone die than think outside the box. She walked through the spaceport for the last time, passing the landing pad where Zaxel's ship had been. The crystalline residue still sparkled in the desert sun, a reminder of what was possible when you ignored the rulebook and trusted your instincts. Her phone buzzed. Another job offer, this time from a mining colony on Mars. They'd heard about her creative solutions and were interested. Protocol be damned. Sarah smiled. Maybe this wasn't an ending but a beginning. As she reached her car, a shadow passed overhead. She looked up, expecting to see the usual cargo shuttles, but the sky was clear. Just another desert morning, the sun beating down on empty landing pads and regulation-bound dreams. Good luck, Zaxel, she murmured, tossing her toolbox in the passenger seat. Hope you found what you were looking for. The drive home was quiet, the desert highway stretching endlessly before her. Sarah's mind wandered to the repairs she'd made, the way Earth crystals had sung in harmony with alien quantum matrices. There was poetry in that, she thought. Primitive technology dancing with advanced science, creating something new and beautiful. Her dashboard computer chimed, displaying a message that made her pull over in surprise. It was from Zaxel, routed through half a dozen relay stations. Your wisdom will not be forgotten. The old ways have value the young often overlook. Watch the stars, Sarah Chen. Change comes with the dawn. She read it 3 times, trying to decipher its meaning. Zaxel's people were known for their cryptic pronouncements, but this felt different, more immediate. That night, Sarah sat on her roof, the toolbox open beside her, tools gleaming in the starlight. She picked up the modified crystal she used in the repairs. Her own design, built from Earth minerals, but singing with possibilities no corporate manual could imagine. To hell with protocols, she said to the stars. We're better than that. She didn't know it yet, but high above, beyond Earth's atmosphere, space itself was preparing to prove her right. In the vast darkness between worlds, a fleet of crystalline ships was gathering, their quantum matrices humming with familiar frequencies that matched, perfectly, the modified Earth crystal sitting in a worn red toolbox in the desert. Dawn broke over Outpost 23 with an unfamiliar light. The sun seemed dimmer somehow, as if something was blocking its rays. Controller Martinez was the first to notice, his early morning coffee freezing halfway to his lips as he stared at the readout screens. That can't be right, he muttered, running the orbital scan again. The results didn't change. If anything, they got more impossible. Director Williams. Sir, you need to see this. Williams arrived just as the first visual feeds came online. He dropped his tablet, the screen cracking against the floor. Nobody noticed. They were all too busy staring at the sky. Ships. Hundreds of them. Crystalline vessels of varying sizes, from small scouts to massive carriers, their hulls shimmering with that same purple-blue energy they'd seen on Zaxel's craft. They hung in perfect formation above the spaceport. Their quantum matrices humming in harmony had a frequency that made every piece of equipment in the control room resonate softly. Get me Earth Defense Command, Williams croaked. Get me the corporate board. Get me. The communication system activated itself. Every screen, every holographic display, Even the ancient coffee maker in the break room lit up with the same image. A familiar scaled face with 4 arms held in a gesture of peace. "Greetings, Outpost 23," Zaxel said, but now their translator conveyed authority rather than desperation. "We apologize for the dramatic entrance, but we felt it necessary to make a point." Williams straightened his tie, trying to project calm he clearly didn't feel. "This is Director Williams. Your fleet's presence in Earth space without proper clearance is a violation of protocol." Zaxel's scales rippled with what might have been amusement, like helping a stranded refugee using innovative solutions, like proving that humanity's primitive technology could not only repair but improve upon our ancient systems. The control room fell silent except for the gentle hum of the crystal ships above. Zaxel continued, their image now displaying on every screen in the spaceport. "We are refugees, Director Williams. Our homes were destroyed by those who worship protocol over compassion, bureaucracy over innovation. We have spent cycles searching for a new beginning, for a people who could help us adapt and survive." Their scales shifted to a deep, meaningful blue. "We found that in Sarah Chen." Martinez let out a low whistle. The mad genius actually did it. She showed them something new. "Impossible," Williams protested weakly. "Our technology is centuries behind yours. We're not qualified to." "Qualified." A new voice joined the transmission. An elder member of Zaxel's species appeared, their scales bearing patterns that spoke of great age and wisdom. "We built our civilization on crystalline technology, became so dependent on its complexity that we forgot the fundamental principles. It took a human with a box of simple tools to remind us that sometimes the old ways, the simple ways, are best." The elder's image zoomed out, showing a vast chamber filled with crystalline technology. At its heart was a familiar sight, a modified earth crystal, pulsing with energy, stabilizing systems far more advanced than its humble origins would suggest. "Sarah Chen's innovations have already been implemented across our refugee fleet," the elder continued. "Her primitive solutions have made our ships more efficient, more stable, and more adaptable than they've been in generations. We are not here to ask for Earth's help despite your technological level, Director Williams. We are here because of it." Williams collapsed into a chair, his worldview visibly crumbling. What exactly are you proposing?" "A partnership," Zaxel said simply. "We have knowledge of advanced technologies but have become trapped by their complexity. You have a fresh perspective, an ability to see simple solutions where we see only complicated problems. Together," their scales rippled with possibility. "Together, we could build something new. But first," the elder added, their tone carrying a hint of steel beneath its wisdom, "we need to speak with Sarah Chen, the human who saw beyond protocol to help one of our children, who dared to combine Earth crystals with quantum matrices, who showed us that innovation knows no technological boundaries." Martinez was already pulling up Sarah's contact information. "She's on her way to Mars. Took a job at a mining colony after you terminated her employment for the crime of being too competent." Zaxel's scales flickered with what might have been irony. "Perhaps we should discuss that as well." Above the spaceport, the crystalline fleet shifted, sunlight refracting through their hulls to create a spectacular display of color and energy. Each ship's quantum matrix was humming at exactly the frequency Sarah had discovered, their combined resonance a testament to the power of thinking differently. "I suggest," the elder said, "that you find her quickly. We have much to discuss about the future of both our peoples." They paused, adding with what was definitely amusement, "And I believe your corporate board may wish to reconsider their position on unauthorized innovations." Williams looked from the fleet above to the cracked tablet at his feet, then to the regulation manuals lining his office walls. Finally, he did something that made Martinez check the oxygen sensors to make sure they weren't all hallucinating. He laughed. "Get me Sarah Chen," he said, shaking his head in wonder. "And someone find me one of those modified crystals of hers. I have a feeling we're going to need to rewrite a few protocols." 6 months after the crystalline fleet's arrival, Outpost 23 was unrecognizable. The once quiet spaceport had transformed into a bustling center of innovation, where humans and aliens worked side by side, combining ancient wisdom with fresh perspectives. At the heart of it all, in a workshop that deliberately ignored every corporate aesthetic guideline, Sarah Chen was doing what she did best, making the impossible work. "Try it now," she called out, adjusting the alignment of a modified Earth crystal array. The massive quantum core in front of her hummed to life, its energy patterns dancing in perfect harmony with the simpler crystals surrounding it. See, the Earth crystals act as stabilizers, letting the quantum matrix operate at higher efficiency without the risk of cascade failure. Zaxel, now the official liaison between the refugee fleet and Earth, watched with all four arms crossed in satisfaction. "To think we spent generations trying to prevent quantum instability through increasingly complex systems, when the solution was to embrace simpler technology as a foundation." Sarah wiped her hands on her coveralls, which now bore both Earth and alien certification patches, much to the corporate board's ongoing discomfort. "That's humanity's secret weapon, you know. We're too stubborn to accept that something's impossible just because it's supposed to be." The workshop door opened, admitting a group of alien engineers followed by their human apprentices. The knowledge exchange program had been Sarah's idea naturally. Instead of formal training programs bound by rigid protocols, she'd insisted on practical, hands-on learning where everyone was encouraged to experiment. "Speaking of impossible," Zaxel said, their scales shifting to a contemplative green, "the latest efficiency reports from the fleet are causing quite a stir in the galactic engineering community. Nobody wants to believe that primitive Earth crystals could improve quantum drive performance by 30%. Sarah grinned, pulling her grandmother's old toolbox from beneath her workbench. "Want to really blow their minds? Watch this." She pulled out what looked like an ordinary wrench, modified with crystalline components. "Been working on this in my spare time. It's a quantum harmonic tuner. Lets you adjust quantum matrices as easily as tightening a bolt." One of the alien engineers moved closer, all four eyes wide. "But you can't just combine primitive mechanical tools with quantum technology." "Says who?" Sarah tossed the wrench from hand to hand. "Rules exist for a reason, but progress happens when we question those reasons. Here, try it yourself." As the engineer tentatively accepted the tool, Director Williams entered the workshop. He'd changed over the months too, his once pristine uniform now bearing the marks of someone who occasionally got his hands dirty. "Chen, got a moment?" Sarah nodded to her students to continue their work and followed Williams to the observation window. Outside, the crystalline fleet sparkled in the desert sun, their hulls now bearing a unique hybrid of alien patterns and Earth-inspired modifications. "Corporate's finally finished reviewing your proposal," Williams said, pulling up a holographic document. They're actually speechless for once. The Joint Human-Alien Engineering Academy, focused on combining technologies and perspectives from both cultures. "Let me guess," Sarah leaned against the window. "It violates about 50 different protocols." Williams actually smiled. 73, actually. They're approving it anyway." He glanced at the quantum harmonic wrench the alien engineer was now using with increasing confidence. Hard to argue with results. The refugee fleet's quantum drives are more stable than ever. Earth's getting access to advanced technology. And it all started because you decided to ignore the rulebook and help someone in need. Sarah watched as human and alien students worked together, sharing ideas and techniques that neither civilization had considered before. You know what the real breakthrough was. Not the technical solutions. It was getting both sides to admit they had something to learn from each other. Humans with our primitive but practical approaches, the refugees with their advanced but overcomplicated systems. Together, we're building something better than either of us could have managed alone. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. The workshop's main screen lit up, showing the refugee fleet's elder council. Their scales shimmered with formal patterns as they addressed the room. Engineer Chen, the lead elder, began. Your latest innovations have been reviewed by the Galactic Engineering Coalition. They have requested an official presentation of your methods. Their scales rippled with what was definitely amusement. I believe their exact words were impossible and therefore requiring immediate investigation. Sarah laughed. Tell them I'd be happy to demonstrate. Maybe bring one of my grandmother's old multi-tools. Really give them something to think about. As the transmission ended, she turned back to her students. The alien engineer had not only mastered the quantum harmonic wrench, but was already suggesting improvements. Nearby, a human apprentice was explaining the principles of basic mechanical advantage to a fascinated group of refugee technicians. You know what the best part is? Sarah said to Williams, gesturing at the scene before them. This is just the beginning. Every time we combine our technologies in new ways, we discover 10 more possibilities we never considered. All because one desperate refugee and one stubborn human mechanic decided that rules were less important than doing the right thing. Williams nodded, watching as the quantum core pulsed with the combined energy of ancient alien technology and Earth crystals. Speaking of rules, I've been meaning to ask, that toolbox of yours, the one that started all this, is it really your grandmother's? Sarah's eyes twinkled. Would it violate fewer protocols if I said no? Above them, the crystalline fleet glittered in the sunlight, their quantum matrices humming in perfect harmony with the modified Earth crystals that now helped power them. It was a sound that echoed across the desert, a symphony of innovation, a testament to what was possible when tradition and progress learned to dance together, and a promise of greater wonders yet to come. In her workshop at the heart of it all, Sarah Chen picked up another primitive tool, smiled at the impossible future spreading out before her, and got back to work. After all, there were still plenty of rules left to break, and she had a universe of possibilities to explore.